It's Monday night, and welcome everybody to Mulligan's Island. What a beautiful day we have. What a big studio audience we have. The studio audience looks like a bunch of fun people. Am I right? Speaking of fun, we have a special guest with us tonight. I'm excited to have him down here. You're going to really enjoy his storytelling and his music. His name is Dave Munsick. We met briefly at a show in Tubac, Arizona, and exchanged CDs. And now, next thing we know, he's here at my backyard bar. So it's going to be a lot of fun tonight. I think you guys know the deal. Go pour yourself something fun to drink. Share this with a friend if you can. Luis, ya estamos compartidos. All right. And if you would like to send in a request tonight, feel free to do so. Now, don't forget, with a guest artist, we wanted to get a bunch of songs in. So I may not be able to get to every single request tonight, but we're going to have a good time. And share this on your page if you can, or even just let your friends know, hey, we're watching something fun tonight. Original music from a couple of different singer-songwriters of very different styles, which always makes it fun. And I appreciate you being with us tonight. So with no further ado, I say we kick things off, as we always do, with the theme intro song written by a guy who's watching us right now, Rudy B. Take it away, Rudy B.
Let's make our way down to Mexico, where we can meet the friends we know. White sand, warm sun, and H2O. It's time for us to get back to laid back. Try a different beer from our favorite six-pack. This crazy world says, come on, let's go. It's time for the music man, a coastal kid with guitar in hand. Even bad days are good here on the island, giving us a place where we can talk to each other fan to fan. Uncharted courses crossing our paths. It's our kind of people and our kind of place. Down in the tropics, it's a Mexican hideaway. The life in this old beach town turns a frown upside down. We'd all be smiling here on Mulligan's Island. It's the right place and the right time to be south of the border again. This is the day we get to listen in. We don't sing no blues anymore. We kick off our shoes at our front door, full of wide-eyed wonder as the waves roll in. It's time for the music man, a coastal kid with guitar in hand. Even bad days are good here on the island, giving us a place where we can talk to each other fan to fan. Uncharted courses crossing our paths. It's our kind of people and our kind of place. Down in the tropics, a Mexican hideaway. The life in this old beach town turns a frown upside down. We all be smiling here on Mulligan's Island. I'll be smiling here on Mulligan's Island.
Welcome back, everybody, to Mulligan's Island. How we doing tonight? I said, how we doing tonight? That's more like it. I'll tell you what, we got a beautiful day here in San Carlos. Something tells me it's getting nice where you are, too. Like the weather's changing for a lot of us. Not for everybody, though, so we got to send this one out for the folks who are still shivering. Up there, they're up to 38. Down here, we're down to 75. While the weatherman in Cleveland says the rain ain't gonna end. And they're freezing up in Denver in the ice and snow and wind. I'm back under blue sky, back in the sunshine, back where I ought to be. Like a fish out of water, suddenly tossed back into the sea. The sound of the ocean, waves in slow motion, no need to ask me why. I'm back under blue sky. Looking back, I guess I can't complain. The folks were nice and the job, it paid real well. But the truth is I don't get how people keep from going insane. Cooped up in their houses, seeking shelter from the rain. While I'm back under blue sky, back in the sunshine, back where I ought to be. Like a fish out of water, suddenly tossed back into the sea. One glimpse of the ocean, waves in slow motion, no need to ask me why. I'm back under blue sky. Bundled up ain't how I'm meant to be. Tank tops and flip-flops, that's more like me. I'm back under blue sky, back in the sunshine, back where I ought to be. Like a fish out of water, suddenly tossed back into the sea. The sound of the ocean, waves in slow motion, no need to ask me why. I'm back under blue sky. I'm back under blue sky. We're all back under blue sky. Good spot to be. Well, thank you very much. Speaking of good spots to be, many of my friends accompanied me just the other day. We took a bus from San Carlos, and we wound up just down the street around the bend from my house here at a place called Wymus Brewing Company. It was a lot of fun. We sampled. Do you like that? Very, very good beer and ate a bunch of pizza, and I made some noise, and Sam Rainwater here got up and did some songs. Just a fun time, but what was unexpected was when the owner of the bar, George, we put a guitar in his hands, not knowing what would happen, and this is what happened.
Sometimes all of our thoughts are misgiven.
Now that is my kind of third world cantina and the perfect segue to a request from my buddy Dave. He's watching us up from Washington tonight. Hi, Dave. And Dave is enjoying pudding shots while he watches the show tonight. He does it right, folks, and he makes good pudding shots. Dave, this one goes out for you by request, our first request of the evening. Bartender, otra tequila. My second home is a third world cantina. I'm the guy who plays the guitar south of the border in your tourist town bar. I've dodged bottles, been heckled by jerks, and all I got was this lousy shirt. They're squeezing limes and mixing margaritas. My second home is a third world cantina. The place fills up as the sun goes down, 'cause it's the only show in town. Banditos and brown-eyed girls, the beer flows and the blenders whirl. Catch a smile from a pretty senorita. My second home is a third world cantina. Salt in the air and sand on the floor. Fine dining ain't what they're here for. They want to dance and they want to get loud. Bartender, what you do to this crowd? They're singing, ay, 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 ay. Come on, guys, you can do that. We're singing, ay, 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 ay. Nicely done. Cuckoo, cuckoo. You don't have to do that. La, 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 ay, ay, andale. Dark-skinned beauties and sailors just off the sea. Sunburned beach bums and real-world refugees. Yeah, they've all got their story, but there's one that we all share. We're all here, 'cause we ain't all there. So true. Come on, Yana, we'll move a little slow. By happy hour, we'll be raring to go. Whoever told you that I'd never get far? Buenas noches from a Mexican bar. There ain't no place better this boy could ever dream of. My second home is a third world cantina. So bartender, fire up another round of margaritas. My second home is a third world cantina. Our second home is a third world cantina. Hope you're having fun in this third world cantina here. And I'm excited to have down visiting this third world cantina all the way down from the United States, Dave Munsik. Dave, come on up. I've been looking forward to you guys meeting Dave. Now, until about 45 minutes ago, Dave and I had never strummed any songs together, but we rushed through a couple here, and it was kind of fun. Hold on.
We'll just twist this around like this.
There we go. Hi, Dave.
It's nice to be all the way down here from the United States.
So tell us about you're a Wyoming guy, right?
I'm a Wyoming guy who's been lots of places, and this is one of them.
Add this to the list. I like it.
Yeah, this
I
is
like
great.
it.
Thanks for having me down here.
Well, I was telling people on Facebook that I thought it would have been really cool if we would have ridden in here on a horse today. That would have been the ultimate entrance to Mulligan's Backyard Bar.
It would be the ultimate, dude. It would be the ultimate. I'll put that in my little to-do list.
Next time,
Yeah.
he's riding in on a horse. Everybody give it up for Dave Munsik.
Hey, you guys, you're great. You know, I've got everything kind of scooched around so I can see Mark, and that's going to do me a hell of a lot of good because he's leaving right now.
You can
So I'm
scoot
just
around
going
if you want to,
to,
yeah.
I'm going to scooch.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Do that so you can sing to these guys too.
Yeah. Let's kind of undo this.
Here.
There we go, right there. Okay, I was told by my friends to make sure to tell stories that go along with these songs. I think I'll lead off with this song about a horse, since that's kind of Mark's theme for the night. Long ago, I had a friend named Pat Puckett who did everything horseback. And he would eat his lunch horseback. He would go to work horseback. He would rope everything that he saw. And he disappeared from Wyoming for a while, and we didn't know what happened to him. And he'd ended up going down to the Baja with his old rickety trailer And while he was down there, he made a fast deal on a bunch of slow horses. And he loaded up these little Mexican horses from the desert and hauled them back to Wyoming so he could make all this money off of them. And everybody laughed at him because they were just these little skinny horses that you look at them frontwards and you couldn't even see them, you know. And they'd spent their whole lives on mesquite beans and rocks. And I asked him, Pat, what are you going to do with these horses? And he said, I'm going to sell them as kids' horses. And I said, well, you know, just because they're little doesn't mean they're kids' horses. And they're not even broke. And, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. So he had this little horse sale, which was a big flop. Everybody forgot about it. And about 10 years later, I was on a pack trip with a friend of mine, and we were up on the mountain and just in a beautiful area. And we were laying down by the creek at night, and the stars had come out, and the creek's running by in the beautiful mountain meadow, and we could hear our horses. We had pack horses out in the meadow. You could hear their bells just kind of ringing once in a while to know they were around. And we'd cook some steaks, and we were just laying there kind of drinking some Jim Beam, and I said, you know, Kurt, talking about the old days, and I said, you remember Pat Puckett, don't you? And he goes, oh, hell yeah, I remember Pat Puckett. And we were laughing, telling stories about him for some reason. And then I said, remember when he brought those horses back from Mexico? And he said, oh, yeah, I remember that. And I said, what kind of fool, what kind of idiot would have bought one of those horses from him? And I laughed, and there was silence. And all you could hear was the creek running. And it was dark, and I couldn't see Kurt's face, and I kind of looked over, and he cleared his throat. Well, I bought one of those horses. And I said, why would you do that? Well, he bought this horse for the richest guy in Wyoming, and the guy had personally trained over 1,000 thoroughbred horses, the best horses money could buy. And here he bought him this, you know, $300 Mexican horse. And I said, what was the story? He said, well, I took him on a pack trip to Yellowstone Park. And we got all the way over there, and everybody took off on their thoroughbreds over these hills, and he was the last one. And he looked at me, he said, where's my horse? Because he owned the ranch that this guy worked on. He said, where's my horse? And Kurt said, it's that little yellow one right there. And he said, I ain't getting on that little Mexican horse. And he said, then you're going to be walking. And he got him on there in his overalls and his guns and all that stuff. And he told him later, you know, first hill, I watched those thoroughbred horses just in front of me. They got to the top, and they were already at the top of the second hill by the time I was kind of going down the first hill. By the time they got to the third hill, I was blowing by them. The fourth hill, I was in camp having my drink, and those horses couldn't even catch me. And he loved that little horse so much, he brought him to Tennessee, where he had a farm, a thoroughbred farm, and built his own stall and hired little girls to brush him, and he lived his life out there. So they named him Tequila because he was golden and smooth going down. So this is Tequila. Hey boys, now do you remember? Been back a long time ago when Pat Puckett brought back those horses he brought down in old Mexico. There was one there among them, skinny and rough on the eye, and gold as the grass in Sonora, branded all over his hide. Horses and hearts, they can steal ya, so for $1 a pound, I named that old horse Tequila. He was golden, smooth going down. Come on. The ranch owner was Mr. Johnson, a thoroughbred horseman was he. He knew a good horse when he saw one. He raised them down in Tennessee. He took one look at Tequila, laughed at me, and he swore, boy, you'll never catch me riding on that little Mexican horse. Horses and hearts, they can fool ya. It only took him one ride. He hauled him to Chattanooga, where he spent the rest of his life. Tequila, you're smooth for the spirit. Tequila, you're strong for the ride. Just like that good blue agave, the way that you warm me inside. And with you running through me, I believe we can fly. Up on your back, together we fly. Together we fly. Together we fly. All right, make that noise out there. Right on. Okay, yeah, direction there. Thanks, guys, for supporting us. Musicians, live music. You know, Mark's a great musician, and really I feel honored to be here with him. And I was thinking about, there's just a couple differences that I can see. He's got CDs, I don't. He's got merch, I don't. He makes you feel good, I make you feel bad with my songs. So there we go. That's about as happy as my stuff gets. Let's see. I'm going to get one of these little things right here. I was thinking this might be a good one for this. I haven't done this song in a long time. Geez, it's been about 40 years ago. I was working for the New Mexico Department of Game and Fish. And man, that was a mistake on their part. And they had me living up on the mountain by myself, and I was kind of young and wild back then. And I'd work 10 days on and have 4 days off. Well, in the middle of that whole 10 days on, I decided I needed groceries, and that was a 100-mile drive down to Silver City. And I went down there, and my groceries ended up being purchased mostly at the Buffalo Bar. And I had this, you know, Smokey the Bear white truck with Smokey the Bear on the side, and I was an easy target. So my friend who I was buying groceries with at the Buffalo Bar decided, well, you better stay the night, man. And well, how are we going to hide the truck? I can't park it out on the street. So we rocked on his neighbor's chain link fence until I could get my game and fish truck in his yard, and we hid it out behind the trees. And in the morning, I took off at first light, trying to sneak out of there with what little groceries I did buy. And about 20 miles out of town, just as the sun was coming up, there was the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen in my life on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere hitchhiking. Little Latina. And there was a cloud as I locked up the brakes, and she had a long peasant skirt on, and I just, wow, what is the deal here? And I pulled the truck to the side of the road, and she came running up to the window, and I said, hey, how you doing? Where are you going? And she said, ¿Vas a Los Angeles? And I thought, shit, I'm in trouble. I'm in big trouble. And her teeth were chattering and her lips were blue, and she had bare feet and her feet were blue, and it had gotten to 0 degrees that night. And I got her in. Actually, I had to get my dog and my groceries and hide them in the back, and I got her next to me in the front of the truck, and we took off, and I asked her a couple more questions. She did not know a word of English. And so I started using my bad Spanish on her and started to understand she was from this place I had no idea, never heard of it, called El Salvador. And they had just had a civil war. And things were bad, and her mother had put her on a bus, a train and a bus to El Paso from El Salvador, Central America. And then she had gotten in a van, and they'd been busted that night. And there were 7 other people that had been apprehended, and she's the only one who had hidden out long enough to make it through the night. And so they were looking for her. And I thought, oh, great. We're in the State Department truck, and I'm heading north, and they knew where she was. So at least there was no border patrol around. So I thought, well, I'll make it. I'll get her up somewhere to some little town. About 10 minutes later, here came a border patrol check station that they'd put up on the freeway, on the state highway. And I pulled in there, and they kind of looked around the truck, and by that time I had her back on the floor, my dog on top of her, my groceries on top of her. And they let us through, and I got her a job cleaning cabins at this little kind of dude ranch place. And I kind of fell in love with this girl. And I used to come down the mountain like every day. And I'd come off the mountain, and I would try to talk Spanish to her. And the more beers I'd have and the more tired I'd get, I just always remember her looking at me like this, trying to understand what I was saying. And she looked like a puppy looking at you like this, cocking her head. And I was saying things like, the bird is tired and so am I, and just none of it made any sense. So anyhow, this one goes out to Myrna Sosa, wherever she ended up. Hope she made it to Los Angeles. There's a lonely river running through the border where I was crossing up from Mexico, when I saw a young girl running, coming right at me, flying wild up from the brush below. She was prettier than morning on the desert road, and I was young and lonely at the time. I let her inside, just outside the borderline, and I crossed it when her eyes looked into mine. Borderline love, where do we run now that there's more than a river to get through? Borderline love, it isn't enough since I've gone across the border with you. We hid for 7 days in love together, until they found her and she had to go. I saw her last the same way that I saw her first, with the morning kissing her beside the road. Borderline love isn't enough now that we've gone get through. Border high and low, where do we run now that I crossed the border with you? Hey, bring the man that knows what's going on back up here. Sure, man. Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be fun.
How about Dave Munsick, everybody? Wow. You know, I love the stories. Love the stories. Are you making these stories up? Because these are good.
I wish, man.
Man, really, seriously, I'd love to hear those, and it's great to have you here with us. Well, what are you doing now? I think I know. This is kind of cool. Yeah.
I got my little guitar.
All right. Well, I had a request. This is gonna be had a request for Sue. She'd like to send a song out for Ed watching us tonight. And Dave, I think we ought to do this one exactly as we rehearsed it. What do you think? In other words, he has no idea where I'm going with this, but watch. We have confidence in him. He can do this. So, Ed, this goes out to you from Sue, and I want to congratulate both of you guys, by the way, on your latest Baja adventure. I'm excited for both of you guys. And this one goes out for you. And also, Jason Cunningham has also sent in a request for the very same song. And this was, Dave, you might remember a song that was on the charts back around 9/11. It was a #1 country hit, one of my favorite country story songs of all time, called Riding with Private Malone.
Oh, yeah. Good.
Remember that song?
Yes. Yep.
David Ball did that song. David Ball is a very traditional country singer. And my buddy Tom Shepard was the co-writer of that song. And then he also wrote Redneck Yacht Club, which came out years later. That was #1 hit also. And I was fortunate enough to write this song with Tom. And we did it together as a duet. And this is how it turned out here. The old man drank a beer every now and then. One day we cracked a couple, just me and him. At 80 years old, all the stories he could tell you about his far-flung friends from France to Venezuela. He said I swigged Fosters with Aussies and Guinness in an Irish pub, a Shiner Bock and Lukenbach and Buddy. Sure enough, it's all the same beer, different can. Just different labels, different brands. But the more you sip, the more you understand. It's all the same beer, different can. Our pal Tom Shepard played a tour overseas, singing for all our folks stationed in the Middle East, at the ambassador's home right there in Riyadh. He sang a special song he'd written about his dad. And when the show was over, he was loading up his van. This guy walked up to Tom and stuck out his hand. He said, that song about your father really meant a lot to me, 'cause I just lost mine and you described him perfectly. Now that man had on a white robe, he wore sandals on his feet, he had a guitar on his head, and man, it ain't that hard to see. We're all the same beer, different can. Just different labels, different brands. But the more you sip, the more you understand. We're all the same beer, different can. Tell us about it, Dave. Now the old man said, I believe God's gonna get a good laugh when we learn, all of us, Buds and Millers and Land Sharks and Coors and Tecates and Yagais, even Pabst, are all the same beer, different can. Just different labels, different brands. But the more you sip, the more you understand. We're all the same beer, different can. The more you sip, the more you understand. We're all the same beer, different can. Nice job on that, Dave. Great job. Thank you. Sue and Ed, hope you like that. And Jason, hope you like that too. We got another request here, and this might be kind of a cool one for the fiddle too. We got a lot of requests coming in. Boy, you could probably do that one. I don't know The Devil Went Down to Georgia, but you probably do that on a fiddle. Carrie's watching us. Carrie, I got yours coming up too. Jeff is watching us. Jeff, I don't know if you're watching us from Pine Top or from Phoenix tonight, but yeah. How do we meet? Well,
What's the story we're using?
Should we tell them about the jail? Yeah. We were serving time. No, I'm just kidding you. Yeah. No, I'm kidding. Actually, just recently we met. We've had mutual friends for a long time. Gary and Cassie are dear friends of mine, and every time I go to Tubac, Arizona, they're always gracious and host me there, and my family too. And they've been telling me about you and your family, actually.
Vice versa.
For years.
Yes,
and
vice versa.
Yeah. And I'm glad we finally got to hook up. So it turned out I did a show with Rudy at the Tubac Center of the Arts probably 4 months ago. I don't know.
A month.
Okay. And yeah, time flies. But anyway, so Rudy was playing with me, and we had a good time, and Gary and Cassie brought along Dave, and we exchanged CDs that night, and I really have enjoyed yours. In fact, I'm hoping we get to do a couple of those songs from that album tonight. Yeah. But so I'm glad this worked out. And the next thing we know, he's here at my bar, and now we can't get rid of him. There we go. Gee, I wonder why. Well, let's see. This song right here, I haven't done this one in a long time. Jeff, I appreciate the request. Dave, I'm sure you feel the same way as me. Very grateful because you've been doing this for how many years now?
Dude, 50 years.
50 years. Yeah. And I've been doing this about 37 years now. So, wow, 87 years of this between us.
You were the guy I was playing for those 13 years. I'm glad you followed.
But you know what? I really am. I know you feel the same way. I'm really, really grateful, because when you're a person who's not getting radio airplay and doing this, literally friend by friend, fan by fan, you're really, really grateful to just the individuals.
That's exactly right.
The people who bring a friend to your show or whatever it may be. And that's really what the song is about right here. The people who've hosted me for house concerts or shown up to them or just not thrown a bottle at my face, to be honest with you. I'm just grateful for them. So this will be the same key. Going out for Jeff. Thanks, Jeff, for the request. I was reading about some rock star griping about his fans, how he's sick and tired of signing autographs, how people asking for pictures is such a total pain. I thought of you guys and raised my glass, 'cause I've sung in your backyard and had you jumpstart my car as the circus show moves from town to town. I've slept on your couches and helped you polish off your rum. And through the years, one thing I've found: we keep it real, man, that's our deal. And it's been that way ever since the start. You share so much of you, and I try to do the same every time I pick up this guitar. Now, Writing songs, that's what I do. And I wrote this one to say thank you. Thank you for putting up with me. Thank you. 'Cause who knows where I'd be? Probably unemployed or in jail. So thank you. Now you've been with me in good times. We've shared a lot of laughs. Then you stuck with me when things got real bad. You even showed up on my doorstep with home-cooked meals as I learned how to be a single dad. Then you cheered me on when God came along and brought a brand new love into my life. And we partied on the beach as one big family on the day that Elsa became my wife. So that superstar might think he's pretty cool, but me, I simply say thank you. Thank you. Time and time again, thank you. 'Cause he may have fans, but I got friends. Some old, some brand new. Thank you. When the show was over, you helped me load my gear. That was a hint, everybody. Then I buckle up and I head on down the road. Exactly where it's gonna lead is anybody's guess. I just want to say one thing before I go. Thank you. I'm grateful as can be. Thank you for letting these two guys up here live their dream. There's nothing else on earth we'd rather do. Thank you for just being who you are. Thank you for letting our music be a part of your lives the way that you guys do. Thank you. And this little song's the least that I can do to thank you. Hey, thank you. Yeah, good job on that. Let's play one of yours.
Let's do it.
What would you like to play for us?
Let's just see here.
Studio audience, while he's getting his guitar, what do you think of this guy?
Oh, man.
This is fun. This is fun.
I better get something kicked out here. Let's see. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Who just suggested that I play the fiddle? Is that Chris Roth? You are a cruel, cruel person, Chris.
It only took him 13 years for me to teach him how to play guitar and stuff, so fiddle wouldn't take too long, dude. You're a sharp study.
Chris, the mere mention of that has viewership plummeting. Don't ever suggest that again.
You know, last winter, right at this time, my good friends Gary and Cassie took Trudy, my wife, and I over to Baja, and we had a magical trip for a week over there together, traveling the country. And one day we drove over from Sea Cortez to the Pacific, and my brain was going nuts, man. I was starting to kind of open up to that whole country, and in the morning we went out in the fog and in a little ponga clear across Magdalena Bay, 30 miles, with this Mexican guy, this captain, and he didn't have very much English for us, so he was pretty quiet, and we just hauled ass across this big bay, and while the fog started to lift at the other side and the sun was coming up, we just drifted. We were looking for whales, and and nothing was happening, and nobody'd seen any babies yet, and nobody'd seen any calves, you know, and all of a sudden there was a big plume on the other side, and he saw it, and he turned around to us, and he, huge smile, he said, "I love my job." And he opened that boat up, that outboard up.
I love it.
And we ran over there, and that mama found us, and she brought her calf over, and she was bumping the bottom of our boat and just wanted us to see her so bad. And we had this magical time, man, and we stopped and had lunch in a little whale camp on our way back. And I wrote this song on my way back over while we were driving over the top that afternoon, and let it kind of age for a month or two, and I know Cassie and Gary wanted to hear it, so here's Magdalena Bay. On the edge of the night, when the day grows thin, I close up my eyes and I go back again to a land of dreams where I make my way, bound for the sea, Magdalena Bay, where the arms of the world open up wide on the wings of my sleep from the Pacific side, chasing a sun that pulls me away, bound for the sea, Magdalena Bay. I look below and I can see the boat lies waiting there for me. On a ship of light, on a sea of glass, I float through the night, out into my past, where the pelicans dive and the big whales play. They dance on the sea of Magdalena Bay. I feel the wind begin to blow. It takes me where I need to go. Then I wake and I'm there all alone. I look for my whales, but their ocean is gone. Nothing is left, and all that remains is a song of the sea, Magdalena Bay. Dance on the sea of Magdalena Bay.
Beautiful song.
Oh, thank you, my friend. Nice playing there, dude. Nice playing.
Give us
Thanks,
another one.
guys.
Give us another one.
Another one.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do. You know what? We practiced one for a minute and a half.
That was the most extensive rehearsal we had all day, folks. Oh yeah. Are we doing?
Yeah, together. You know this song. Last winter I sat down to write songs, and boy, Mark will tell you, sit down to write songs, and a lot of times that doesn't work. And I was visited by the gods last winter, and I actually wrote a bunch of songs. And what I did was I wrote, my wife doesn't like hearing this, and I really do like her. A lot.
That's nice to know.
But I made a list of my old girlfriends down on one side of my
She is
writing
obviously
pad.
not Hispanic.
Precisely.
There we go.
That has
you
to
have
do with some of
luxuries
these
I
songs,
don't.
yes. And one of these girls was named, God, should I even say it online? I shouldn't say that. She had a real Italian name. I don't want her tracking me down.
We don't have that much viewership. I say you're free. you have a lot of freedom on this show.
0.0000001 chance of being discovered. Anyhow, she was an Italian gal. And we had a pretty good time running around together until one day I was just sitting around playing my guitar, and I started playing her that song. I just started playing the song. In the pines where the sun never shines, and shiver when the cold wind blows. These guys might have heard that song. It's an old-timey song. And that's about all I knew, and she screamed. She was Italian. And she flicked her long hair, and she said, "Oh, my God." And I said, "What's the problem?" Her name was Lucia. And she said, "My grandmother told me the man who sings that song is the man I will marry." And that, friends, was the end of Lucia. And the song goes like this. This is about what we had together. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I met her at the bar, sure didn't get too far, just enough so she'd remember. Next time that she'd see a guy who looked like me, she'd think we should be together. She wore a cowboy hat, long hair hung down her back. When she asked me to dance, I let her. Showed me the way to swing, freer than anything, like we had everything together. Together like we're falling in love. We were too young for it to be. Together, wasn't like love then, it sure was close enough for me. I sang her in the pines where the sun never shines. That's the way I planned to get her. 'Cause she'd heard from her grandma, the man who sings that song will mean that you belong together. Together like we're falling in love, but we were too young for it to be. Together, if it wasn't like love then, it sure was close enough for me. Together. Oh yeah, Mark. Yeah, all right, man.
Nice job.
Good job, bro.
You want to do that Chuck Powell song?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Get rid of this.
Or maybe Night Riders.
Yeah, do right now.
You ever heard of a place called Kirkland Junction, Arizona?
No.
Kirkland Junction. So when I lived in Yarnell, Arizona, we'll do this again.
Okay.
Yeah. Kirkland Junction, Arizona was an actual cowboy bar, and I lived in Yarnell, but the place I was working didn't want me drinking in town. I was a teacher there, and they said, you can go out of town and do your drinking. So I went 13 miles up the road to a cowboy bar that was owned by the a truck driver, and I was the only non-cowboy in this place, dead serious. They let me play 2 Jimmy Buffett songs. They let me play Margaritaville and the Hamburger Song, they called it. And I was the only guy not in boots. They let me be barefoot. I love this place. But the Tufa Tavern in Kirkland Junction, Arizona, but that was probably the last time I ever played this song, because back then I played a lot of old traditional country. I played a lot of Merle Haggard, Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson, that kind of stuff. But this was a song that probably my fondest memory was sitting on a parking block in front of the bar at like 2 o'clock in the morning, just hammered off my butt and singing this song with a whole bunch of cowboys, and that's probably the last time I sang it. Not even sure I know it.
He knows it. He knows it.
While I was out riding, graveyard shift, midnight till dawn, the moon was as bright as a reading light for a letter from an old friend back home. And he asked me, why do you ride for the money? Why do you rope for short pay? You ain't getting nowhere, losing your share. Yeah, you must have gone crazy out there. Want to take one? He said last night how I run on to Jenny. She's married now and has a good life. You sure missed the track when you never came back. Now she's the perfect professional's wife. And she asked me, why does he ride for the money? Why does he rope for short pay? He ain't getting nowhere, losing his share. Yeah, he must have gone crazy out there. They never seen those northern lights, never seen a hawk on the wing, ain't never seen the spring hit the great divide, and they never heard old Camp Cookie sing. So I finished the last of my letter, and I tore off a stamp for Black Jim. Billy rode up to relieve me. He just looked at my letter and grinned. He asked me, why do we ride for the money? Why do we rope for short pay? We ain't getting nowhere, losing our share. Yeah, we must have been crazy out there. But they'd never seen those northern lights, never seen a hawk on the wing, never seen the spring hit the great divide, and they never heard old Camp Cookie sing. Very nice. Nice. Yeah.
Yep.
Luis, let's see what we have coming in on the requests out there. I hope everybody who's watching at home is having a good time.
Is there anybody watching at home? Are you watching at home?
You know, first time I ever did one of these shows on Facebook, I was seriously wondering that. I
Yeah.
sat here looking into a camera.
I forgot about that part.
I did during the pandemic, and I honestly was so awkward singing into a camera because I didn't know if anybody was watching. And it was only after the show when I went back, watched the Facebook feed, and saw these comments. I'm like, oh, wow, he was watching, she was watching. And it was really a
And
lot of
when I
fun.
look at that list and don't recognize a single name on there, it means nobody's watching out there. No,
Well,
it's
listen,
all rigged.
Do us a favor. So tell us where you're playing. When's your next gig, and what do you got
You know,
going
I
on?
got some cool stuff coming up. Let's see. I'm playing at the Two-Back Hikers Club annual picnic next Tuesday night at Sandy Dahlstrom's house.
If you need the Hells Angels for security on that one, just let me know. I'll line them up for you.
That's the security to get me out of there. Yeah. Then over at the Sonoida Cafe next Thursday. And then Billings, Montana at the Metra, opening for my son with my two other sons. May 3rd or something. And then we just got something to where we're going on a pack trip in the Santa Ynez Mountains out of Santa Barbara the next week, doing a show for some riders. And then the next week, my son's playing the Ryman Auditorium,
Yeah.
and we're playing we're playing with him on that.
So you've played.
Yeah.
Didn't you play the Ryman with him already?
I
one
played
time?
the Grand Ole Opry new stage, not the old one.
Very
Yeah.
cool. What a thrill that must have been.
Oh God, yeah, shaking in your boots. Kind
Wow.
of thrill.
So the
Yeah.
Ryman. So tell us about this Ryman thing coming up. What's
It's
the deal?
his album release, and to make it even cooler, he's got 18 songs on this new album. Is he
He's
listening?
one- Oh,
Okay, his name's Ian Munsick.
Ian, congratulations! Wow, give Ian a round of applause. This is cool. That's great.
Yeah, it's awesome. And he's got one of those songs that he called me. Well, it was my birthday last year, and he sent me this text. He said, "Happy birthday, Dad." And I opened it up. It was this MP3 file, and it's a song about me. And I thought, man, I got all choked up. And then he said, "That's Vince Gill playing guitar, and he wrote it with me."
Are you serious?
And I thought,
do you know it?
wow. No. And
That's
anyhow,
pretty
Vince
amazing.
is going to be playing with him and us.
Wow.
And then he's got another one
Congratulations.
on there that Marty Stewart wrote with him.
Great.
That Marty hopefully is going to play on it too.
So is the album out right now, or is it just about to come out?
He's releasing it April 8th or 4th or something. Like
Okay,
that.
so this is
Good
Ian
album.
Munsick, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, good. We'll be sure to get the word out to everybody.
You
but
do it.
Sure, if you guys Google them right now, you can find everything out.
Oh, yeah.
And tell us real quickly also, so the family band is how many of you guys?
There's 4 of us. Dave Munsick, Tris Munsick, Sam Munsick, Ian Munsick. Ian he's the one who got out of Wyoming and went to Nashville, so he usually doesn't play with us. So a lot of times it's the 3 of us, but he's real good at getting us involved in his shows. And, I was going to say, I asked him how it was writing with Marty Stewart. And Marty came over to his house to write. And he said, well, he's just like you think he is, Dad. Dresses all flamboyant. You guys have seen him
Yeah,
probably. This
big
guy.
hair.
Big hair. And, looks like pirate suits that he wears and stuff. And he had seen the video of me playing with Ian at the Grand Ole Opry, so he was all pumped about that. And during that night, Ian had this guy, Manuel, who makes all the suits for all the stars, Porter Wagner and Dolly Parton and all that. This tailor had made Ian this beautiful Western suit. But Ian had him also make me a scarf. And it's got this scene on it, a guy roping a steer on it. But Ian gave it to me in the dressing room right before we were going on this stage, the biggest show of my life, and I couldn't figure out how to tie this thing. And it was wide. It looked like bow tie macaroni kind of just sticking out like this. I felt seriously like I should be eating rice baby food or something with the bib. and I untied it, and I kept trying to make it smaller, and it just kept sticking out like this. So I had to wear it. So I went out and I did my thing. Trudy was saying, God, you guys were great, but that tie. And I said, I know. What do you do? So we got home, and I just put the tie in my dresser and stuff. And I asked Ian, how was it writing with Marty? This is 2 years later. And he goes, just like you think. Flamboyant dresser, all good mood. He was cracking jokes the whole time. We wrote this great song, Indian Paintbrush and everything. And then he was heading out the door to go, and he had his mandolin on, his guitar on his back, his mandolin under his arm, and he was patting the dogs and saying goodbye and Pump Me 5 and everything. Oh, right, laughing and cracking jokes. And he left the house, and he came right back in. As soon as the door closed, he came back in, and he had this sad look on his face, and he goes, I just got to tell you, dude, your dad's tie is badass.
Yes. That is cool.
So I'm going to have to either give it to him or something.
That is funny.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, listen, you do have a request. Gary and Cassie, I know before the show, you were saying there was a song you wanted to hear. Yeah, Trophy Buckle, right? This is one of my favorite songs. I'm going to hold up your CD. I'm going to hold it up.
Yeah.
Now,
there's good.
it's called Backtracks, and I've been listening to this thing over and over, and it's really, really good. You've heard a few of the songs today. Really, really well done in Nashville. Great songs.
Don't get any hopes because you can't buy one or anything.
Yeah. Now, imagine how good this would be if you could actually purchase one. Now, just to make it further convenient for you, Dave does not accept check, credit card, PayPal, or Venmo, but he does work on the barter system. So if you could think of something you'd like to trade him and arrange with him, you can enjoy his CD.
It's a good little arrangement. I don't accept check or cash. You don't accept CD, so we're all happy.
That's right. Yeah. He's doing his best to stay in the low tax bracket. Is what he's doing here. He's a smart man when it comes to taxes.
Okay. This song is about my daughter-in-law, one of my daughter-in-laws. And she is a barrel racing girl, cowgirl through and through, has been since she was born. And her dad was a cowboy. And she had the two prettiest, most good-looking kids in the world. Just ask me, because I'm their granddad, and my wife's their grandmom. And anyhow, our little granddaughter started riding barrels when she was 2 years old. She was riding horses in the little kids' rodeos, and she could hardly walk. And by the time she hit 4 years old, she was getting pretty good at it, and she was riding this old pensioner horse that our daughter-in-law had retired many years before. And that's all I knew, and that his name was Groucho, and that he was a real character. Callie, if you're listening, don't cry. And we went to the final rodeo of the year, and Mackley, our granddaughter, was riding in it, and she was riding old Groucho. And, man, Groucho was looking rough, man. He was like 32, 33 years old, ancient. But he knew exactly what to do with this little girl. And he made it through his run. And at the end of the whole event, they announced Mackley had won the People's Choice buckle for the year. And so she had this beautiful brand new buckle, and she was all proud of herself. And I came over there to congratulate her, and she was sitting on Groucho, and her mom was standing there crying, just tears running down her face. And I gave her a hug, and I said, what is the problem? And she said, this is going to be Groucho's last rodeo. And I thought, that's his last buckle and her first buckle, and it's happening at the same time, and it's the same buckle. And I thought, I'm going to write a song about that. So I wrote it, and I couldn't wait for her to hear it. And when I finally got the rough mix of this back that's on that CD, which you can't get, you'll never hear, she was over at our house, and I played it for her on my phone, and she, about 1 minute into it, we were both holding each other, blubbering, crying, and I said, you stop that crap, because I can't stop crying. So anyway, Gary wanted to hear this song. Let's see if I can remember how it goes. It's so far away from yesterday, the day they brought him home. Just a young horse she could ride and learn to rodeo. He fought her, but he taught her how to hold her hurry in, till they won their first buckle, that little girl and him. Both of them grew older and the years went flying past. She needed trucks and trailers, younger horses that were fast. No old horses anymore, just horses that could win. It was only old man Time who was ever riding him. Horses need a little job even when they've gotten old. Girls turn into ladies and have babies of their own. It's so far away to yesterday, to where she's got a ride. That little girl at a rodeo, her first and his last time. Her mama will be crying when they finally make it in. Little girl's first buckle is the last buckle for him.
You know what I really, really love? I love songs that are real.
Yeah,
I do. I don't know
real.
about you as a writer. And I know that in Nashville, and I admire these guys who can get together and say, hey, let's write a song about this today. And, 2-3 people sit down and come up with it. And they're awesome technicians. But there's nothing to me that beats a song that's just authentic and real. And that's what I love about these songs we're hearing tonight. What about you guys? Just the stories behind them and I think they just make the songs even better, don't they? When you hear those stories, yeah. Well, cool. Luis, how are we doing on the requests over there? Okay, I'll throw that one in. And Luis, máquinas, ¿cómo estamos? Máquinas, okay. You know what? You want to try that? We can do that Chuck Pyle one, or we can do the Navajo round. Yeah, let's do Navajo.
What key in on that?
This is the one that I'm going to do. So this is going to be in B, but I'm doing that major thing. Is that okay? Do you want to do it on the fiddle?
The B thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
fine.
B. I'm doing a major 7 on it. You going to do fiddle on it?
I'm going to play guitar on it.
Oh, all right. Here we go. So I would imagine that you're an Ian Tyson fan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah, man.
Well, it's funny. This is one of those songs that, I don't know about you, but I get requests for this song all the time. And I know several artists who've recorded the song, but I don't know if this song, if Ian's version ever really made it big. I never really heard it on the radio, but it's one of those word of mouth songs that's just gotten around because it's such a great tune. And even though it was never on the charts, we all know it and we all love it. And I bet you anything our studio audience and folks at home on their couches are going to sing along every time we say, ay, 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 Katie.
That's your job. That's your place.
Shades of red and blue. Try it out, guys. Ay, 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 Katie. Shades shades of red and blue. Ay, 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 Katie, whatever became of that Navajo rug and you? Well, it's 2 eggs up on whiskey toast, home fries on the side. Wash 'em down with a Roadhouse coffee that'll burn up your inside. It's just a Canyon, Colorado diner and a waitress I once loved. We sat in the back beneath an old stuffed bear and a worn-out Navajo rug. Ay, 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 Katie, shades of red and blue. Ay, 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 Katie, whatever became of that Navajo rug and you? Well, old Jack the boss, he left at 6. It was Katie barred the door. She'd pulled down that Navajo rug and we'd spread it across the floor. I saw the lightning frame, the sacred mountains, and a woven turtle dove just lying next to Katie on that old Navajo rug. Ay, 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 Katie, shades of red and blue. Ay, 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 Katie, whatever became of that Navajo rug and you? Well, I saw old Jack about a year ago. He said the place had burned to the ground. All he'd saved was an old bear tooth, and Katie, she left town. You know, Katie got a souvenir too. Jack smiled and spit out a big old plug. Yeah, you should have seen her running through the smoke. She was dragging some Navajo rug. Ay, 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 Katie, shades of red and blue. Ay, 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 Katie, whatever became of that Navajo rug? Come on, guys, I think we can do better. Everybody, let's sing that part. Let's do it. Ay, 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 Katie, shades of red and blue. Ay, 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 Katie, whatever became of that Navajo rug and so every time I cross those sacred mountains, lightning jumps above. It always takes me back in time to my long-lost Katie love. You know, everybody keeps on moving. Everybody's on the go. Still, you don't find things that'll last anymore like a hand-woven Navajo. Ay, 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 Katie, shades of red and blue. Ay, 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 Katie, whatever became of that Navajo rug and you? Katie, shades of red and blue. Ay, 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 Katie, whatever became of that Navajo rug and oh no, Dave, here comes that high note. Whatever became of that Navajo rug and you?
There it is, the human coyote.
Yeah.
Good job, Mark.
All right.
Good job, man.
That was fun. Love that song. We've never played that on this show before. Dave, what do you got for us?
What do I have, man? Yeah.
Quick question, stupid question. You having a good time here on Mulligan's
I'm
Island?
having a blast.
I love it.
blast.
This has really turned out to be fun, and we'd sure love to get you back down here. Sean Castle's watching us, too. He wants a George Strait song. I bet we can throw that one in, too. Hi, Sean. Hope you had fun in Isla Mujeres. We'll do that one for you. Maybe after you give us one of yours.
Sure. I got an idea. You know, here's a song, I have no idea how it goes, that I wrote a long time ago that would fit so well. So here's the thing. Even if you don't know it, that's no excuse. If it fits the circumstance, you give it a try. Anyway. Pretend it's Christmas. I told you it fit real well. Pretend it's Christmas and that you're down in the islands, and you'll know kind of how this song got started. I was kind of a young buck, and I had shot my first elk, and I was so proud of this bull elk, and I had all these pictures. of me dragging this bull elk with my horse through the snow that was this deep and being Mr. Macho. And we were down in the Cayman Islands, and there was this real cute little Jamaican gal who was cleaning our house. And, boy, I wanted to show her my elk. I mean, I was going to impress this little gal. Smart guy that I was, like 25 years old or whatever I was. And so, way before cell phones or anything, and I had these pictures, almost like porno or something. I had them all hidden out, you know, and they're, I got my pictures out, and I said, you know, here, look at this. And she looks at the picture, and she looks at me, and she said, "Dis, you?" And I said, yeah, that's me. I'm the guy, man. I'm the one pulling that elk out of there. What do you think of that elk? And she goes, "Dis is snows? Dis is snows?" And I said, "Snows?" And well, she'd never seen snow. And she was way impressed with that snow and way not impressed with me. I'm a lucky man, everything I need. Big boat, big fish, big life. Spend all my day looking at the sea, where I be the rich man fishing guy. Well, that man say, for the Christmas gift, he come and he leave the cold. So we catch the jack and a big bone fish, and we talk about the snow. Snow, snow, I like to see some snow just one time before I die. Snow, snow, got to see some snow. Bring a little bit snow tonight. That's how it goes. Well, I've been inside the big ocean wave, and I feel the big hurricane wind blow. I see the big bonefish and the tarpon, but I never do see the snow. Mr. Santa Man from the northern land, bring a little bit of snow for me. I don't need no box, I don't need no bow, only one thing that I need. Bring a little bit of snow. It's snow, snow, white Christmas snow, just one time before I die. Snows, snows, got to see some snow. Bring a little bit snow tonight. Oh, that man say, I bring a snow tonight. Mr. Santa Man, bring snow. Yay, all right. I haven't heard that one either.
Luis, Laura, ¿cómo estamos? Con Laura. Okay, we're good. All right, good. All right. Want to do that?
Bust one out, man. Yeah. What key? B?
E minor?
E minor.
All right, let's see what happens on this one. He's going to pick up the fiddle on this one. By the way, give it up for Dave Munsick, everybody.
guys
So
are
great
great.
having him here.
Yeah, thank you.
my family away from my Carolina home. Had dreams about the West End, started to roam. 6 long months on a dust-covered trail. They said heaven's at the end, but so far it's been hell. And there's fire on the mountain, lightning in the air, gold in them hills, and it's waiting for me there. We were digging and sifting from 5 till 5, selling everything we found just to stay alive. Gold flowed free like the whiskey in the bar. Said he was a big thing, Lord, said he was a star. And there's fire on the mountain, lightning in the air, gold in them hills, and it's waiting for me there. Now my widow, she weeps by my grave. Tears fall free for her man she couldn't save. Shot down in cold blood by a gun that carried fame. All for a useless and no good, worthless claim. And there's fire on the mountain, lightning in the air, gold in them hills, and it's waiting for me there. Fire on the mountain, lightning in the air, gold in them hills, and it's waiting for me there. Waiting for me there.
Nice,
Beautiful.
man. Good shit. Lots of fun.
That was cool.
That's all we want.
You want to give us another one?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to.
All right. Give us another one off that CD we can't buy. You've done the impossible. You've done the impossible, Dave. You've made me look like a business whiz. I so needed you in my life.
When all I really want is 10 legs like he's got.
Yeah. Sean, we got your song coming up. And Carrie, I haven't forgotten about you, Carrie. I'm going to do your song too. Caroline, I may not be able to do that one, but if you think of a different one, we'll get it in for you. All right. All right.
Okay, here we go. I was just thinking about this song. This might fit the bill. There was a guy who lived in southern Arizona right across the border in my friend Gary's country in Santa Cruz County. His name was Joe Brown, and he went under the name of JPS Brown, Joseph Paul Sorrells Brown. And this guy was a hell of a cowboy, a wild man, and a great writer. He didn't know he was a great writer until he had a bunch of notes that he had put together in his chap's pocket, and big stack of them, and he ended up getting hepatitis. And while he was recovering in Nogales at his aunt's house, he wrote longhand this book, and a friend of his mailed it off to a Dial Press in New York City, and they took it. And they flew him back there, and they ended up making a movie with Paul Newman in it. And I have worshipped this guy for 40 years, and I finally got to meet him. I went over to his house before he died, and I asked him about the characters in his book and his writing style, and we compared. I like to write, too, a little bit, and we compared styles, and he'd had all these strokes, and he had a hard time talking, but he was just loving my questions. And I said, how about Juan Vogel in your book? And he said, he is dead now. How about the lion? Dead. How about your girlfriend, Adelita? if she's anything like the Hispanic girls I've known, she was a jealous thing. And he says, oh, did I learn things from her? And he said, I said, did you ever get married to her? And he said, 8 years, and I would take 8 more. And he sat there, and I said, so was she jealous? He said, oh, she was terrible jealous. I had another love. And my other love would take me away from her. And I said, oh, yeah, that'll do it, especially those Mexican girls. And he said, my other love's name was Whiskey. And there were times when I wouldn't come home for 2 or 3 nights. And the last time that happened, I had bought her a .32 pistol because there was a lion killing our calves and our colts. They had a ranch in Sonora. And I'd forgotten to come home for 3 nights. And I came home the 4th morning, and she met me at the door with that .32 pistol. And she leveled it between my eyes, and she pulled the trigger. And he pulls his shirt, and he had this chain with this bullet unfired hanging around, and the primer had not gone off. And he said, I wear this to remind myself to come home. This guy was a piece of work. So I asked him, when I asked him about this Adelita, his eyes lit up, and he was way in his 80s, and he looked like a young man just for a minute in his eyes, and you could see him looking back at this beautiful girl who was probably 17 years old, and he was probably 25, and just a rambling cowboy who'd come down from the Phoenix area buying cattle all up and down the Sierras, Chihuahua and Sonora, one at a time, on horseback, back in the 60s, and how he'd fell in love with this girl. And he went back 60 years while I asked him that. I wrote him this song. He never got to hear it, but I'll see if I can at least remember it for you guys. Back when I was young, running away young, looking for a new country I could ride, I took old Pajarito, my rodeo caballo, all the way to Mexico one time. Down across the border I did ride. There an old ranchero told me of the charros and the magic things that they could do. So we both did go to see a rodeo and watch the charro horsemen running through. That's when I saw the rancher's daughter too. Adelita de la Charriada, Adelita, you are all I see. When you spin around in the arena, Adelita, are you watching me? From another time, running through my mind, dancing with your pony when you do. Adelita, that's how I remember you. As I watched Adelita, that pretty senorita, I could see a fire in her eyes. I thought that it could be burning just for me, that we could be in love, both her and I. That's what I was seeing in her eyes. The son of Arizona, a sister of Sonora, what I had in mind could never be. But you should have seen us, that fire we had between us, big enough for anyone to see. From another time, running me when you do. Adelina, that's how I remember you.
Beautiful.
Hey, you guys are great, man. I'd
tell-
like to smuggle you back in Cassie's car and bring you all up north.
Could you tell me more about this jealous Mexican wives thing and not coming home?
I was thinking
Just,
about you, man.
Kind of thinking about that.
Yeah. Take her pistol away,
Some-
first of all.
For some reason, that story is really haunting me. All right, there's no whiskey in this bar.
Yeah, no
Dave
whiskey.
Seaholm, I may have you hook me up with something there. Hey,
So
so
you be nice to him now.
my buddy Sean Castle wanted to hear George Strait song. I bet you know this one.
Do you know the Sing It?
Yeah.
And you're in D? In A?
Hold on.
But you're in D. D dog.
And then we'll modulate up to E.
Yep.
So, Sean and Cheryl, welcome back. You guys just spent 1 month in a place that I love so much, Isla Mujeres. And, in fact, a bunch of us are going down there on May the 18th. Elsa, it sounds like, is going to be coming now, too. And
Nice. Keep an
anyway,
eye on you.
So, yeah, and Sean, thank you. You gave me some great pointers on places to go. And appreciate the request here. This is kind of funny because last week we had a fiddle player on the show, too, Bobby Soto. And this is a song that he and I have played together, too. And I love it. Bobby also sings a verse of this song in Spanish, which is really kind of cool.
That is.
So anyway, let's give this one a shot and see if we can do it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Give it up for Dave Munsick, everybody. Amarillo by morning, up from San Antonio. Everything that I got is just what I got on. When that sun is high in that Texas sky, I'll be bucking at the county fair. Amarillo by morning, Amarillo, I'll be there. They took my saddle in Houston, broke my leg in Santa Fe, lost my wife and my girlfriend somewhere along the way. And I'll be looking for it when they pull that gate, and I hope that judge ain't blind. Amarillo by morning, Amarillo's on my mind. Amarillo by morning, up from San Antonio. Everything that I got is just what I got on. I ain't got a dime, but what I got is mine. I ain't rich, but Lord, I'm free. Amarillo by morning, Amarillo's where I'll be. Amarillo by morning, Amarillo's on my mind. Yeah, beautiful. Nice, nice. Sean and Shara, thank you for that request. You know, the guy that has been so helpful on the show is my friend Rudy B. You met him in Tubac.
I met him in Tubac.
Boy, amazing guitar player.
Great player.
We were talking before the show. Rudy's watching tonight. We were talking about this chance meeting that Rudy and I had on an airplane. I mean, so many times I've gotten in an airplane and I'm just tired and I don't talk to the person next to me. I go to sleep. I put headphones on, whatever. I just happened to strike up a conversation that day, and it ended up resulting in meeting Rudy B. And boy, has that changed actually my life and Rudy B's life. And he's a big part of this show now. He does our intro every week. He's been on the show as a guest several times. I know he's enjoying tonight. And he was listening in on our sound check, and we played him a song during sound check because Rudy B has a history with a guy that we're both fans of, a guy named Chuck Pyle. And Chuck Pyle, this is one of his bigger songs. This ended up getting recorded, I believe, by Jerry Jeff Walker. And Rudy B was actually a part of the album, by the way, of engineering the album and the production on this album, Keeping Time by the River, Chuck Pyle album, that this song, I believe, showed up on, right, Rudy? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was this album. So we'll send this one out for Rudy B. I think he's entitled to a song. And you want to take this one? Go for it.
Which part?
No, you're singing it.
Oh, okay.
You're singing it. You're taking the part. Going out for Rudy B.
Watch out when to start to twist. Hold tight with a leather fist. What my daddy told me how to ride them bulls. There's a sore place in my jeans, a jingle in between. I'm leaving old Salt Lake with a push and a pull. 10-4, buddy, come on back. A horse trailer on a Cadillac. If you're talking to the cowboy in the Coupe de Ville, Chugga looking up one side, right down on the other. I'm a lover of the other side of the hill. Turn off that radio. Don't think about rodeo. Don't think about roundup down an old Cheyenne. It's a crazy circuit, but you know I still work it. Turn the sound up, baby, and get up and check the scan. 10-4, buddy, come on back. A horse trailer on a Cadillac. Hey, you're talking to the cowboys in the Coupe de Ville. Chugga looking up one side, right down on the other. I'm a lover of the other side of the hill. Go on.
Dave Munsick, everybody! When I forget the verse, I just go to the chorus. I don't know about you.
Yeah, and for buddy, come on back. A horse trailer on a Cadillac. Yeah, you're talking to the cowboy in the Coupe de Ville. I'm trying to play it right down the other. I'm a lover of the other side of the hill. I'm a lover of the other side of the hill.
You know what Dave and I are doing here is just basically giving you guys the key words to the song. We're not going to bug you with the non-essentials.
Outlines. It's outlines.
We're giving you the Cliff's Notes versions.
And we're showing you what two half-wits together can accomplish. Jesus.
Well, we have another incoming request. We got time for just a couple more songs, but this is fun. Let's see what we got here. Let's see.
Yeah, look at that. There's another name we don't know.
Kathy. Boy, that's well. I wonder if you could give me. This is a tough song to do here.
Yeah,
Kathy, I'm
you know the thing to do there in that case? Don't do it.
You know, that's good advice. I've been killing myself trying to do all these things I can't do my whole life.
It's the 13 years difference between us. That's what's helping.
It's time for me to just come out and say something, folks. I can't do it. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah. It feels so much better that way.
Well, you know what? I'm curious. I bet you'd be able to throw something in on the fiddle on this song. It's got some tricky chord changes, but I have full confidence in you. And actually, you have no choice in the matter. So you're sitting here, and yeah, he can do this one. So I believe this one's going out for Kathy Frederick. She's watching us from Arkansas, I believe, tonight. Kathy, thank you for being such a good supporter of the show. Speaking of supporters, I do hope you guys will go on the Dave's website after the show. Now, is it the Storyteller or
Songteller.
Songteller? Songteller.com?
The Songteller, not Songteller. Dolly Parton took my... How dare she do that?
If she wasn't so cute, I'd be furious with her.
I know. And she's really not as cute as you think.
Ooh. That
No,
hold
she
on.
is. She is.
Now,
She
Dave,
is.
Dave, you do realize that will be the one part of the show that goes viral. Everything you've sung, every beautiful story, it's all going to be canceled out.
It's
by-
because she's
It's-
cuter
it-
than you think.
It's Dave Munsick, the
She's
guy who
cuter.
said that.
She's cuter than you think. I said she's not as cute as you think. She's cuter than you think.
There we go. That's what he meant. But Dave, that part's not going viral. All right, we'll see what happens on this one.
TheSongteller.com.
Going out for Kathy. And by the way, I do think Dolly Parton's cute. Give it up for Dolly Parton.
She is awesome.
She is awesome.
Yeah.
After all these years, bubbly and fun and smart.
And
I
what
mean,
a songwriter, huh?
Oh, yeah. Really.
Thousands of songs.
Yep, that's right. Going out for Kathy. Corona sunset and margarita moon. Spanish guitar serenade the sky with a tune. Waves kissing the shore. In time for just one more Corona sunset and margarita moon. They say down here crazy things can happen. And this past week we're living proof. A mixed up reservation, a casual hello, a couple drinks, and next thing we knew it was Corona sunsets and margarita moons. Suddenly, mañana's coming way too soon. Wish this night could somehow last instead of fading away so fast like Corona sunsets and margarita moon. Our footprints in the sand will soon be washed away as echoes of tonight fade with the breeze. You'll be off to your world and I'll be back in mine, looking back on distant memories. Sails out on the sea, silhouettes are you and me, and Corona sunsets. Now your boarding pass is printed and your bags are packed. Just like that, reality's closing in. But this evening sky has got me thinking crazy thoughts. Perhaps this story doesn't end with this Corona sunset and margarita moon. Is it me, or are you kind of wondering too? Will these memories disappear, or lead us both back here to Corona sunsets and margarita moons? Will the salt air on the breeze again find you and me under Corona sunsets? I know I'll never forget Corona sunsets and margarita moon. Great job, man. That was a hard one.
That was a great one, dude.
Thank you very much. That's one I did as a duet with a gal named Wendy Newcomer in Nashville, and co-wrote that one with Sonny Jim. So yeah, great job on that, Kathy. Thank you for the request. Hey, I have one more request, but I'll tell you what I think would be cool is, Lucy, we're probably getting low on time here too. Yeah. So how about this? How about if we do one more song together here, and then you close us out, and you can close us out with whatever you'd like to.
Sounds good.
Anything else you'd like to share with our gang here about you or your music?
That'll come later.
That'll come later. Okay, good. You must all be here for the post-show session. Somebody just asked if you have any more CDs coming out.
You know, those CDs have a special place in my garage in boxes up above where I can't get at them, up in Wyoming. And it's a hollowed little place up there. And I have so many, and you have so few, that something should happen about that. But they're sitting in my garage in Wyoming on their shelf.
Yes.
I am a song, buddy.
This is why singer-songwriters are always broke.
Yeah. It has a
We
lot to
spend
do
a
with it.
fortune recording albums that we forget to bring to gigs.
Exactly. That's right.
I still remember my oldest son, Marcos. This is before he was even in business school. He was probably 14, 15 years old when he pointed something out to me. I was telling him how much money it cost me to go to Nashville and record these albums, the thousands and thousands of dollars I go to musicians and studios and trying to get every detail just right. And Marcos looked at me and says, "So, Dad, so it takes you that long to make the album back?" He goes, "Wouldn't it be smarter for you to just put the money into a Roth IRA?" And I looked at him and I thought, yes. But then I wouldn't be able to go broke doing something I love.
That's right.
So anyway, leave it to a 14-year-old to school me on the
Oh,
subject.
man, oh, yeah.
Isn't that true?
Yes.
But luckily you have a partner here who's willing to let you do that, and so do I. So
Man.
Yeah.
Totally mirrored images there.
Well, I'll do one more song here, and then we'll see what Dave's got up his sleeve if he wants to close us out here. But Dave, anytime you'd like to come back here to Mulligan's Island, we'd love to have you
love
on.
that invitation.
Yeah, and I'd love to do something with you in Southern Arizona.
Next time I'll bring CDs and you guys don't have to show up.
I would love to do something with you in Southern Arizona. I had something lined up for Green Valley in April, and it just fell through. So if you hear of anybody who ever wants to bring down their property values with a show, I'll meet you up there, and we'll have a good time.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yes.
I will. I'm gonna.
Okay. All right. I'll tell you what. We're actually going to do two more songs, then I'll have Dave. Maybe Dave will close us out with one after this, okay? Because we have another incoming request, and we keep our requests happy around here. Because the happier they are, the more my children eat. And my kids do like to eat. So we're going to head to... Well, I'll tell you what. We'll do this one first. This one, I believe, was from somebody in the crowd. Somebody wanted to hear a song. Maybe Bill and Cheryl, was it? Somebody got a late request in here. And I think the fiddle would work on this one. Now, Dave, this one is just in case you decide to go out misbehaving after this next song. This song will set you straight. You want to play
on
on
me,
it?
brother.
You want to play it? You want to play on it? Oh yeah.
Didn't
I
you
can
just say?
Oh no.
No.
No. I said the fiddle would go well on it. Fiddle would go well on it.
That's not what I heard either.
I'm not kicking him off of here. You guys ready? Through the bars on the window, I saw the light of the moon. I heard Mexican singers singing Mexican tunes. Dogs barked in Spanish, a strange serenade. I don't know the language or the sounds that they made. South of the border, they say look but don't touch, but they serve me tequila, look out, and they serve me too much. I thought she was pretty, and her love was for sale. I spent my vacation in a Mexican jail. Her padre was the sheriff, her uncle the judge, her brother the lawyer who carried a grudge. They chattered in Spanish, a deal was soon made, a first-class excursion to the local stockade. South of the border, they say look but don't touch, but they serve me tequila and they serve me too much. I thought she was pretty, que bonita, and her love was for sale. I spent my vacation in a Mexican jail. Tell us all about it, Dave. I think he's been there before. South of the border, they say look but don't touch, but they serve me Captain Morgan and Diet Coke with no lime, and they serve me too much. I tried to persuade them, but my arguments failed. Now I'm bunking with Carlos in a Mexican jail. Why? I ask myself why. Sing a Mexican song with no ay. Here's our part. Ay. Everybody at home, help us out. Ay. You got it. Awesome. Thanks for the request on that. All right, let's have Dave give us a song here.
Okay, I guess this is the last one, or for me anyway. Yeah. My wife wanted me to play this song, and so I'm going to do it anyway.
That's a wise move.
So I'm going to do it anyway. You know, in all seriousness, I really appreciate you guys. God, you know, this is my favorite kind of audience, favorite number of people. You're great. You can find me at thesongteller.com. My name's Dave Munsick, Munsick, and you too can own part of the many boxes in my garage. This song took place a long time ago when our middle son and I were feeding cows, and he was 4 years old, and our little arrangement was he would drive the flatbed truck while I would stand on the bales in the back and cut the strings and roll the hay off to the cows. And how, you might ask, did we do that? Well, I would put it in first gear, and it would just idle across the field, and he'd do this kind of thing with the wheel. And in exchange, we'd get home, and I'd feed him. Trudy was a labor and delivery nurse. She'd leave real early in the morning from the ranch. We lived in this beautiful place up this blind canyon in the Bighorn Mountains. And anyhow, this one particular morning, it was really cold. I'll try to make this short. And the sky was 100-mile visibility kind of a morning, and the stars were red and blue and yellow and all kinds of colors in the sky. The snow was waking up the same time as the sun was coming up, turning lavender and pink and blue. And little Sam, who never said much, started noticing all this magic happening around him. And then when he was driving, he got stuck in a snowbank. and it was way below zero, and I had no choice but to leave him in the truck and run and walk in below zero temperatures back to the farmhouse and the barnyard and get the tractor started and get back there. And I told him, you stay in here or you're going to die, and it's too cold for you to go. And man, I was really scared. And by the time I got back there, the cows were rolling hay off the truck. I could see that, and I just kept expecting to see his little blue snowsuit who tried to follow me and have him frozen to death someplace. It's about 25 minutes probably by the time I got back. When I got close, I saw that the turn signals were going, the windshield wipers were going, the horn was beeping, all that stuff, and the radio was going, and he was good. And when I was pulling us out, he was telling me all this stuff. And when I started to pull us out, I noticed what the things that he was saying were things that he'd seen from his own eyes. And I decided to honor that because he had gotten to go through something that most 4-year-olds don't. In other words, he'd seen a reality with nobody telling him that's what that is. And he'd made this stuff up. So I went home and wrote this song. It was January. I finished it in May. Our youngest son Ian was born. Trudy was nursing him in his room. It was a beautiful evening. I finished things up and I came in there and the sun was just going down. It was just about like this. There was a little breeze coming down the canyon. And I could just see her there rocking with him, nursing him. And I said, Trude, I got this song I wrote. I want you to hear it. Played her this song, which recounts that story. And to this day, that was 30 years ago, and to this day, she's only ever told me these 5 words about this song, and it's, is that a true story? Whoops. This is called Seven Below. It was 7 below through my window glass today when I went to go load the pickup full of hay. My little boy said that the snow was blue, and then he asked me if I knew how the mountains got so close today. I started feeding the cows, let him drive the truck real slow till he bottomed it out where the wind had blown the snow. I said we'd go for a tractor ride when I got back if he stayed inside. I ran and worried all the way. When I got back, here's what he had to say. Dad, you should have seen the bird in front of me. Well, he was bigger than you. And the moon went down on the buffalo. And I saw little wolves laughing at me and disappearing like smoke while I was waiting for you in 7 below. There was a buffalo herd running over to the west. On the ridges there were all the tracks that they had left. And down in the brush was a white-tailed fawn the coyotes had been feeding on when I saw an eagle leave his tree. I saw his side of what he'd said to me. Dad, you should have seen the bird in front of me. Well, he was bigger than you. And the moon went down on the buffalo. disappearing like smoke while I was waiting for you in 7 Below. While I was waiting for you in 7 Below.
Good song.
Oh, thank you, man.
Great songs tonight from Dave Munsick, everybody. Beautiful, Dave.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, love the stories, love the songs, and well, awesome. Tell you what, if you want to pick that fiddle up, this would be another good song for it. Carrie, I know you asked for this one early in the night. I hope you're still with us. Thanks for being patient. But we're going to go back to Kirkland Junction on this one, the Tufa Tavern. I don't know if you've ever gone there twice in one night on this show, but we're going there to my very first gig that I did. Many of you guys know the story. You know, I'd been a backup singer. I'd been a keyboardist in my college days when I was up at NAU. But I wasn't a solo guy. I wasn't a lead singer or anything at this point. In fact, I had a regular job at this point when I was in the Tufa Tavern, and the truck driver who owned the place said, "Hey, you used to sing? Come sing in my bar." I said, "Well, Mike, I'm not like a lead guy." He said, "You can do it." I said, "Mike, I don't even own a sound system." He says, "Come on, you can do it." I said, "Mike," he says, "I'll give you $50 and a bar tab." I said, "I can do this." So my very first gig was I walked in there with just my guitar, no sound system, sat on a bar stool just like this. And Joyce was working behind the bar, and she was pouring my drinks, and there was just one table of cowboys and a couple of truckers that were in there with them, probably a dozen guys, and just having a nice conversation. And then I started singing my songs, and I think they're going to get like really into it, and they just kind of looked over at me annoyed and went back to their conversation. They're talking louder and louder, and finally one of the guys, one of the truckers in the group, gets over, and he comes over to me in the middle of a song, probably my third or fourth song, and says, "Hey." I'm right in the middle of a song. I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Could you pipe down?" And I said, "I really can't." He says, "Why?" I said, "Because this is what I'm getting paid to do. This is my gig today." And he goes, "Well, we were doing just fine till you came in here. We didn't ask for music. We're just having a conversation." I go, I'm sorry, guys, but I mean, you know, I'm getting paid for this. I kind of need the money. They said, "Well, we don't want you here. We were doing just fine." So finally, this was going nowhere, and I looked at the guy and said, "What's your name?" He says, "Guy." And I said, "Guy, tell you what." And at this point, I knew a lot of songs. I had a lot of songs on my belt, even though I wasn't a lead guy at this point. And I said, "Name me any song you want to, Guy. And if I know it, let me play it and let me finish my gig. And if I don't know it, I promise I'll walk out the door and I won't come back." And he got this kind of cocky grin on his face. He says, "Okay. John Conley, Rose-Colored Glasses." Well, what he didn't know was I had 2 cassette tapes in the glove compartment of my diesel Isuzu pickup truck. I had Jerry Jeff Walker's greatest hits, and I had John Conley's greatest hits years after he had been long forgotten. John Conley with a nasal voice.
Yeah.
"Those rose-colored glasses." And that song had been drilled into my head. Thank you, God, because I love the way you work on this stuff. And that song saved my life, and it shows up in this song. We're going to head up to Kirkland Junction. This is going to be in A. Yeah. Luis has got late breaking news. Oh, no, it's okay. What do you got? Hold on. Is another request? Okay. I think he just wants to borrow the car. He thought it might be a good time to talk about a personal loan.
He wants to get you a CD.
He was wondering if I could loan him $5. All right, here we go. I walked into that bar in Kirkland Junction. The place was full of cowboys as I whipped out my guitar with a bar stool for a stage and $50 in pay. Just a few songs into my very first solo gig. He said, "My name's Guy and I don't like your music. Would you kindly take that guitar, drink your beer and hit the road?" I said, "Guy, I'll tell you what. Name any song you want. And if you stump me, I swear, I'm out the door." Thank God I knew Guy's favorite tune that night. Probably saved my life. If not for rose-colored glasses, what would have happened? I might. They got killed that night. But Guy just took his hat off and he stuck it on my head, slapped me on the back and said, I like this kid. And as I look back now, I just say, wow, what a ride. In a cantina 60 miles south of the border used to be a prison, then a brothel, then a bar. Well, my first career mistake was playing there spring break and wondering, where's the chicken wire? Some punk crawled up on stage and grabbed the microphone so he could scream the F word to all his wasted friends. Well, I kicked his butt off stage, and he flew into a rage, and a billiard ball came flying at my head. Oh! Had I not been sober, I might not have moved over, and I'd be dead. An 8-ball to the head. But it just grazed my ear, and I spilled my beer, and that was it. Yeah, but not for him. His buddies blew him off, and he couldn't afford the bail. Bet he won't talk about that week he spent in jail, 'cause what happens in Mexico, we know how that goes. Oh my. Tell us all about it, Dave. Doing such a great job all night, everybody. Dave Munsick. Now the years have come and gone, and I've been successful at avoiding any type of what they call a real job. And the more that I turn gray, the more I love to play. Thank you guys for putting up with our songs. From that very first tune in that cowboy saloon, I never knew where the road would lead. From sleeping in cars on beaches and bars, I see a lot of miles between. From Kirkland Junction to the Texas coast, Southern Cal to Florida, then down to Mexico. I seen buses and trains and boats and planes on this ride, this amazing ride. So hand me a guitar, toss me a mic, and I'll keep on singing until the day I die. And with my last breath, I'll say no regrets. What a ride. What a ride. Been quite a ride. Been quite a ride. And been quite a night with Dave Munsick joining us here at Mulligan's Island Bar. Been quite a ride. Thank you, Dave. You did such a great job tonight. Been quite a ride. Right here. Thanks for the ride. Thank you guys for joining us. What an awesome night. Next week, we've got Tucson's Eric Schaefer joining us. Give it up, everybody, for Dave Munsick. God bless you guys.
Let's make our way down to Mexico, where we can meet the friends we know. White sand, warm sun, and H2O. It's time for us to get back to laid back. Try a different beer from our favorite six-pack. This crazy world says, come on, let's go. It's time for music man, a coastal kid with guitar in hand. Even bad days are good here on the island. Giving us a place where we can talk to each other fan to fan. Uncharted courses crossing our paths. It's our kind of people and our kind of place. Down in the tropics, it's a Mexican hideaway. The life in this old beach town turns a frown upside down. We'd all be smiling here on Mulligan's Island. It's the right place and the right time to be south of the border again. This is the day we get to listen in. We don't sing no blues anymore. We kick off our shoes at our front door, full of wide-eyed wonder as the waves roll in. It's time for the music man, a coastal kid with guitar in hand. Even bad days are good here on the island. Giving us a place where we can talk to each other fan to fan. Uncharted courses crossing our paths. It's our kind of people and our kind of place. Down in the tropics, a Mexican hideaway. Life in this old beach town turns a frown upside down. We all be smiling here on Mulligan's Island. I'll be smiling here on Mulligan's Island.